Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Dear students, today our topic of discussion will be from pharmaceutical technology and the dosage form. It is actually the introductory topic of pharmaceutical technology and also the pharmaceutics topic regarding dosage form design that can be studied in the second year, third semester, or fourth semester classes, in which we will discuss the why we actually require to develop a dosage form or the delivery system, recently known as delivery system. Whenever a delivery is designed for a drug candidate to be administered in a body through a specific route, then we need a specific sized delivery device or a delivery dosage form that can reach the targeted therapeutic site or that can reach systemic circulation through absorption or through other processes in which we are injecting it into the body. So the need for the dosage form is actually to define why we have created such a device or a product which carries a drug substance and is suitable to be administered in a biological body that can produce that after that when it is administered that can produce a specific. Starting with the need of dosage form, first of all, as we know that the active ingredient or APIs are in very minute quantities or very small sized doses which are to be measured only in milligrams or micrograms or nanograms, milliliters, microliters or nanoliters. And these type of balances or these type of measuring utensils are actually not available with our common people. So they cannot measure or they cannot actually accurately weigh such kind of dose of the therapeutic substance for the administration. Even a technical person cannot weigh or measure such kind of a dose. So to increase its quantity so that it can be easily handled, it can be easily packed and carried to the clinical settings or patient premises, we add some excipients in it or some agents which are not the therapeutically active. So those excipients actually work to increase the total mass or total size of the dose and give a shape to the delivery system. For example, if we are adding solid excipients in the therapeutic substance or a drug substance, then it will be converted to solid drug delivery system. And if we are adding some solvents with the active ingredient, then it will be converted to a liquid dosage form. And if we are adding some semi-solid preparations, for example, some of the gels or some of the ointment bases or some of the ingredients from the gelling agents, develop semi-solid dosage. So these excipients were actually used initially to develop a physical form of the delivery device so that they can be easily administered by the patient itself or by a technical person, clinical personnel with an ease by giving a specific dose in a specific unit. So this type of the device which can be specifically administered is known as dosage form, because form is the physical form that have been developed for a drug substance. So the dosage which have been developed into a physical form will be known as dosage. So the first need was to effectively administering very minute quantities of the APIs accurately into the systemic circulation. Then actually when this type of dosage form was administered, it was having problems. The major two problems that a dosage form was feeling, one was the protection from the external environment in which it gets degraded. External environment is having excessive temperature, it is having oxygen, it is having moisture. So it can be degraded by oxygen, oxidation process. It can be degraded thermally. It can be degraded by light waves So we have to protect it against these environmental hazards. We coat it with some excipients known as polymers. The polymer can leave a thin layer on the drug delivery system. So a coated thin layer of the dosage form will protect it against the environment. The drug or API will not be in direct contact with the environment. Only the coating, which can be easily dissolved by the gastric juices, is the external part of the dosage form. So we can protect it from the environment if we pack it in a secure packaging, means a tamper evident packaging, a airtight container, a moisture resistant packaging, and a light resistant packaging along with some coatings on the delivery system, so we can protect it from the environment. Secondly, the delivery system, when it is administered in the orally, when it is administered orally, and normally the most commonest delivery system we have developed are the delivery system which are intended for oral administration due to ease in administration and superiority of the administrative system that can be administered orally. So they are in direct contact. When they are administered, they are into direct contact to the gastric environment, which is highly acidic in the stomach. So stomach can degrade many drugs which are acid labile. So acid labile drugs should be coated with a acid resistant coatings. These are known as enteric coating. Enteric means intestine. So we coat it with those polymers, with those ingredients which are not affected by the gastric juices, and they are only dissolved by the enteric juices or enteric media, the pH of the enteric media. So they are known as enteric coated tablets. So the ingredients such as shellac or cellulose acetate, phthalate, commonly known as CAP, can be used to coat or encapsulate these type of devices so that they can be directly protected against the strict gastric environment. When we have protected it from the gastric environment, we have protected it from the external environment. There was a major drawback of this delivery system, which were administered orally, that they impart some taste, that in unpleasant or a bitter taste that decrease the patient compliance. So patient compliance is most important factor. If patient compliance is not achieved, then therapy cannot be achieved. Patient compliance is the most common factor that contribute to a administration of a drug delivery device. So for better taste masking, we have developed solutions into suspensions. Solution can take the exact essence of the APIs into the solution. So every solution, when it will come in contact with the taste buds, it will impart the bitter taste of the drug. The API should not impart its taste into the solvent system. We have prepared some dispersed systems such as suspensions or emulsions of the APIs, in which drug is not soluble in the external media. So as it is not soluble in the external media is not that much bitter, or it is of a no taste, or it is of a pleasant taste. So when it comes to the oral cavity or taste buds, a pleasant taste is more dominant on the bitter taste. So we can protect it from unpleasant taste, or taste masking is accomplished. Secondly, for a solid delivery system, we can coat them with some sugar coatings. So they are called sugar coated tablets. Even a polymeric film, which we have actually discussed in environmental protection, can protect the drug from contacting the taste buds. These are the approaches which can make them a taste masked product. Then there was a need that we should develop some dosage form for the geriatric patients or pediatric patients. As the geriatric patients cannot engulf such type of a solid delivery system which is of a large size, it is difficult for them to ingest or engulf such a delivery system. Pediatrics require the dose which is weight based. So to convert the solid dosage form into a small pieces according to the weight based dosage is very difficult. The volume can be actually measured with some spoons which are graduated spoons. So we have developed some solutions, elixirs, or suspensions or emulsions in liquid form, so that we can develop delivery devices for geriatrics and pediatrics. So all the liquid dosage form are mainly for the establishment of solubility of the vehicle in or dispersibility of the API in a suitable vehicles. There was a major drawback when we have developed a delivery system or a dosage form which is immediately releasing all the drug substance. If a drug is immediately releasing, then a drug will depend upon its elimination from the body or elimination half-life. If the drug is given in the form of immediate release, it will dissolve in the GIT, it will absorb from the GIT, become a part of the systemic circulation, and then it will be distributed to eliminating organ. And it will metabolize in the liver, or it will be eliminated through the kidneys. Then the total effective concentration will decrease, and we have to maintain this effective concentration, so we require to administer another dose. And if the elimination rate is much faster for a drug substance, then we have to administer on a very shorter period of time that cannot increase the patient compliance. It will be a non-patient compliant therapy. So we need to extend the time in which it remains in the minimum effective concentration. The minimum effective concentration is between the two concentrations. One is minimum effective concentration and one is minimum toxic concentration or maximum safe concentration. The the gap between the minimum effective concentration and maximum safe concentration is actually a therapeutic window in which we have to stay for the delivery device. So we actually administer a drug delivery system that reaches to the top of the maximum safe concentration, and then it reverts back to the bottom, and then a re-administration take it back to the maximum safe. So these are the fluctuations: high dose, low dose, high dose, low dose, that appears within the systemic circulation due to multiple administration. The goal of the therapy is to deliver a drug substance that needs minimum administrations or can be accomplished only on one administration. So we have to move towards such type of administration in which we do not require our next administration at least in 24 hours. The next administration should only be after 24 hours. So in this way, we can improve the patient compliance. The conventional dosage forms or the immediate dosage forms actually eliminate from the body immediately. As they reach the systemic circulation immediately, they are rapidly eliminated from the body. So if we give a double dose or triple dose, it will, as it is reaching to the maximum safe concentration on one dose, if it is doubled, then it will go beyond the maximum safe concentration and will touch the minimum toxic concentration or exceed the minimum toxic. So a missing dose and the re-administration of that missing dose in shorter durations can result in the side effects or the fluctuations which can lead to the failure of the therapy. So to eliminate these all kinds of the drawbacks, we have to develop some delivery system or dosage forms which should remain within the effective concentration region, therapeutic window, for a longer period of a time, so that when they are eliminated from that, at that a 24-hour window should be passed, or a specific longer period should be passed, so that we can administer conveniently a second dose of the delivery system. So that for that purpose, we require rate control system. The rate control system will be delivering the drug at a controlled rate. They will be dissolving and releasing the drug from the delivery system at some delayed rates, at some controlled rates, at some sustained rates, so that the delivery device allows the active drug to be absorbed at a specific concentration, at a small concentration, to make it therapeutically available within the therapeutic concentration. And when it is trying to eliminate from the body, a second dose should be released from the system. it will be absorbed and it develop the same concentration as it was for the first dose. The same should happen. The plasma level will be static within the therapeutic window or effective concentration. So we do not require our next administration. The first administration will be sufficient to maintain the concentration between minimum effective concentration and minimum toxic concentration. So what will be the benefits of the rate control delivery system? As very least dose is being reaching the systemic circulation, so it will be sufficient only for the therapeutic side to be produced a response. It will not reach each and every part of the body in which it will be acting to produce some side effects. So a side effects can be decreased drastically or significantly can be decreased by using such kind of a system which have a rate. Secondly, the desired effects can be achieved for longer period of time. We can administer a therapy for 24 hours, so a drug will be giving effective concentration, yeah, therapeutic effects for 24 hours. So we do not require to re-administer it. Thirdly, if the patient is not taking a drug which have been described to him that you should take it every 8 hours, every 6 hours, or every 4 hours, or with every meal, so it will be difficult for him to remember that at which meal or at which time I have administered a therapy or at which time I have missed the therapy. And if you are stating that a patient should take only with the breakfast, before the breakfast or with breakfast, one time breakfast is coming in the day, so he will know whenever I am going to breakfast, I have to take this medication. So this will increase the patient compliance and reduce the dosing frequency. So if we are delivering one dose in a day and delivering 5 doses in a day, the cost of 5 doses will be more than the one dose. So cost effectiveness will be increased. Similarly, a decreased dose will be administered, that will also cause cost effective. Some immediate responses are required whenever we are dealing with some emergencies or some patients which are not responsive to the therapy, or they are unconscious, or they are in the condition which whenever we administer orally, they cause it to vomit out. Then we need to reach the systemic circulation through some invasions. So for those invasive drug delivery system, we developed some parenterals. Parenterals means which are out of the entron, means intestine. So it will be administered in the form of solutions or suspensions, which are already discussed in the solubility sections. So those will be sterile, made sterile, and they will be according to the blood circulation concentration, means tonicity. They will be isotonic. These should be administered through invasions in the blood for immediate responses and to deal with those patients which are unconscious or unresponsive. So these were needs for parenteral dosage. There were conditions which are actually local conditions, known as the therapy should be only administered to the local sites. These are the devices which are not qualifying any of the dosage form criteria of solid, liquid, or semi-solid. These can be of a solid form, but they are not orally intended. For solid, we have actually discussed they are orally intended for administration. But we are actually administering a solid which is administered on the skin or on the external parts of the body to deliver a drug substance to the local skin conditions or to the systemic circulation away from the oral therapy without an invasion. These such kind of delivery system is required, as for oral administration it will reach the whole systemic circulation and will reach those parts also where the drug therapy is not required, or active drug quantity is not required, and it will produce side effects. So to reduce those side effects, we should apply the drug only and only at the specific disease site. And if the disease site is on the skin, on the toes, on the joints, on the nails, we should apply it on those areas only. So for those, we have developed some semi-solid dosage forms known as creams, which are based on emulsions, ointments, lotions, gels, pastes. These are semi-solid dosage forms which can be applied on the external surface area. There are other delivery devices which are actually applied on the external surface area. They are not for the local tissue at which they are applied, they are for the systemic circulation. So these are actually known as transdermal because they will move through the different dermal layers into the systemic. The solid delivery devices is placed on the external part, and those solid devices release the drug, and that drug penetrate through the dermal layers into and reach into the systemic. Similarly, there are the organs in which the reaching of the systemic circulation is minimum, and there is very less uh, availability of the active ingredient, or they can be managed very difficult. Lungs are the area in which if we are delivering parenterally or we are delivering orally, lungs can have a minimum drug quantity reach in the small quantities in the lungs. So there is a way that we actually inhale the oxygen inside our body. So we can develop some inhalers. Similarly, that can be inhaled through our nasal cavity or oral cavity into the lungs. So the inflammation of alveoli or any disease which is inside the lungs, that can be treated with some therapy that can reach directly into the lungs through the inhalation process. Any drug which is actually degrading in the stomach due to gastric or intestinal enzymes, and they are for the intended for the lungs administration, lung disease administration. So they can be used for inhalation. So we can deliver the drug through inhalation. As the alveoli have the most large surface area, so inhaler can be absorbed from those large surface area and produce a better local response as compared to the other systemic responses like oral and parent. So when a drug is actually degraded from the GIT or degraded from the stomach or degraded in the small intestine, then we need to develop some suitable delivery to the other areas also. So one of those area in which we actually administer are suppositories. The holes in the body are actually the openings from which we can administer a drug substance. There is a hole which is known as mouth. We are administering diet and every kind of administration from here. Nose have a two holes. Similarly, ears have the holes, and similarly, rectum has a hole, urethra has a hole, or vagina has a hole. So we can deliver the drugs through these holes, and every delivery which is delivered those through these holes is known as suppository or insert. Insert is a name of those delivery devices which are administered in a body cavities or in the body holes, or suppositories are known as. The most important suppository which is administered is rectal suppository, because rectum have the site that can reach to the systemic circulation. So rectum can be used, rectal suppository can be used to deliver a drug into the systemic circulation. And similarly, nasal inserts can be used to deliver drug into the brain. Similarly, for those holes which have the local diseases from the parenteral way or oral way, those are difficult to treat. We can deliver the drug into the into that hole directly. So the delivery device will be localized within that hole and can produce its specific responses. These are the suppositories. So these 10 types of the delivery devices were developed and were named as dosage form. There are major drawbacks, some major drawbacks when we were discussing these type of the dosage forms that lead to the change of the name of this dosage. We actually change the name to this of this dosage form into a device which is known as system. So when a transdermal patch was prepared, that patch do not have any feature of solid delivery system, because solid were to administer orally or to be dusted on the skin. These are not for dusting, these are not for oral administration, but these are solid which are administered on the skin, and they remain on the skin for till we actually scratch it off from the skin. So these are not classified in the solid category. They are not liquid, they are not semi-solid. We have discussed that the topical applications which are applied on the skin are known as semi-solid preparation. But these are the solids. So they were not classified in any form of the dosage physical form, which was solid, liquid, and semi-solid. So they were first time given as the name of drug delivery system, a system that can deliver a drug, DDS, or a drug product. Similarly, when we developed inhalers, inhalers were solid from the outside, but when we emit those active ingredients through actuator, they emit it into fine mist that is of liquid, but appear like a gas, and they are inhaled in the body. They are not for the oral administration. They are not for parenteral administration. They are not for the topical administration. So they are not classified among any of these doses. So they were actually named as aerosol systems, means aerosol drug delivery system. So they were known as aerosol systems. Similarly, some inserts, which are inserts used in the body holes, they were difficult to be classified under the dosage form because they were not of the shape which can be administered orally, parenterally, or can be applied on the skin. They were of the shape of the hole because suppositories solid in a way, but they do not dissolve in the body. They actually melt in the body. So a melting is not considered as a normal dissolution and not considered the drug to be released by melting. So a melted delivery system will be known as a drug delivery system. So today we actually know these dosage forms in the form of drug delivery systems or drug products. Jazakallah khair. Salam.